IVM.
My most handsome co-host Naveen Norona hosts his own podcast called Keeping It Queer on the IVM podcast app. Keeping It Queer is all about keeping up with the LGBTQ movement and the people who make it happen. Speak to both people from the movement and allies every week on the IVM podcast app.
Stories, we've got stories. They're a little bit of funny and a little bit of dissembler. You wanna hear them? It's got humans. They're sitting in a box and talking bold Edward all loud.
I can't hear anything.
We can't hear each other on the headphones, and now we can.
Now we can.
Awesome.
Oh my god!
Our audio
You know,
engineer
lately
always
I have been
keeps it for the end.
relating to that song. Really, I mean, I always related to it all through my child.
You just
all
have to
through my
roll
child.
on that camera.
Throughout my
All
child.
through my child, said the Catholic Pope,
Thank you.
and the priest who sang along with him in the
So,
heavens.
all through my childhood, I used to really relate to that. मैं हूँ नीमा सैंडल का 20th century girl.
Oh, yes.
For me, it was
Right?
Yeah,
you know
I
what
just
mean?
remember it just clicked.
It was like one of those things that I don't. I
She's
didn't
walking down
understand.
some random street in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Venice or one of these European
Yeah.
cities.
You didn't like relate to it in a gender way, but in a boy, like in a child versus world way. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
मैं भी हूँ 21st century boy.
But remember that? Nima Rose.
Rose, Nima Rose.
So my friends in college, we made a dirty version of it, of course. Why
Of
not?
course.
Like Golte Jam. Rose, Golte Jam.
Not bad.
But when Popcorn.
Comes with independent masala.
Right.
7
Like,
flavors.
You can
now
just...
it's gone down to 3 flavors.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the gourmet popcorn at La Rev.
गोरमे कुछ नहीं मसाला खुद से डालने का है
गया नहीं हूँ ना तो मेरे लिए gourmet till I go there.
पेरी पेरी पॉपकॉर्न
जितना डालना डालो unlimited.
Like
Okay, I
basically,
think we're
we're
recording
good.
again.
Okay.
But this time our DOP is still talking on the
to
phone. So,
UPS or for base.
oh yeah, he's ordered some mules.
Drug ones.
No, just regular mules.
He's gonna milk them.
Okay, welcome to this today's. This is an episode of Varta Lab, and
Turns out, yeah.
and the chaos that follows. Rather, the chaos that precedes the episode that actually starts. I
You
don't
just
know.
have like radio silence noise in the middle when we glitched out. It's
Yeah,
like,
no?
To show that it was actually like. You know,
दुविधा के लिए खेद है.
हाँ. ज्वाले में छेद है. It's like-
Anyway, so this season has had a lot of people that both of us didn't know from before.
Yeah.
And that's been interesting because now we have to do our magic with new people.
And now we know them also. Like so.
Yeah,
it's,
now and we made more friends also through it. But today we have somebody who we actually who I didn't know but I knew. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like when I met him earlier in my life, I was like, hey, hey, and now I met him today, and I was like, hey, hey,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, hey, I'm the pehle ka hey, hey. I'm like, oh, yeah, hey.
Yeah.
And
Especially when they start looking better in the future, it's like, oh, when did this
that
happen?
I don't know because the thick frames and the hat was a nice touch.
Awesome.
Okay, but my point is, many years ago when I was still pursuing my audio engineering and this and that, I was doing music.
See now how his head came up.
What
Like,
came
all
up?
the time he doesn't care like what you're talking about. Audio
Yeah.
engineer बोलो कौन
Music-
याद किया मेरे को?
So I was doing music for a short film with a friend of mine called Charan, and his name is Charan, which is I don't know if I've told you about Charan. Have I told you about
I
Charan?
don't think
Have
so.
we discussed
I
Charan?
would have
on this
remembered a name like Charan, I think.
CSP?
Huh? Yeah, Charan Singh Pathan, yeah.
Oh, did you feel it and be like Charan Sparsh?
But anyway, so him and I, we had a lot of adventures together, and
Okay.
this was one of them. We had to make a short film. Pepsi was sponsoring
Yeah.
the thing.
That was the commercial.
Yeah, and it was a 24-hour competition. We had to write it scripted.
I remember this Pepsi 24 hour
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
Oh yes, Abhi.
Yes.
Was the Ranbir Kapoor tha tabhi.
That's
And
why I
the-
said to my boyfriend also because his name is Abhi and oh yes Abhi.
Lovely.
Sorry.
So, I love how awkward they are getting.
No,
Because
no.
they are-
This is,
No context, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's why you should have to know us before our lives.
Yeah, you should listen to a couple
we
of...
should have watched all your episodes.
No,
before
no,
coming
one
on,
was
right?
also enough.
Acha.
You would realize this is going to go horribly off throughout.
It's great.
So at that time, I had met this guy who was then working as a director, and then he was like, I'm going to go to the US and I'm going to make a movie about esports and how esports is taking over the world. And I'm like, yes, esports is indeed taking over the world. But this is without really knowing what I was saying, because I had played Dota when it came out, but I gave up very quickly because it was difficult and my fingers would cramp doing all the shortcuts. And I was always more of an Xbox player and who couldn't afford
What does it
an
stand
Xbox.
for?
What?
Dota?
Dota ka full
Defense of the Ancients.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that the full?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's Defense of the Ancients. It's a World of Warcraft kind of. It's a game with. My point is, since my childhood, I have gotten further away from games. But the guy who was going to make a movie about esports is now running a team of esports.
Yeah,
and
multiple
several
teams.
of esports.
12 teams, yeah.
And
Yes.
how the life takes you around, man. Because 1 minute you're trying to make a movie about something, and then you are the thing that the movie would be made about.
Yeah.
And then you're still working on making a web series.
Yeah, he
which
still
is
says
in
I'm making a movie on
process.
esports,
Yeah.
by the way.
Oh.
It's still in process,
Oh.
by the way.
Define esports.
First, let's introduce.
Yeah, because this is like, for me, I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm not. I still throw a ball like I throw unicorn farts. Like
So
that's
if
how-
we don't explain, he's going to be left out of the entire thing.
Completely.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
let's
damn.
carry on.
Yeah, okay,
We will
that's-
explain at the end of the
But I'll
show.
do fuck all puns in the middle like this, okay? So like, don't.
What is esports?
Okay, let's introduce everybody first.
Yeah, actually,
My
yeah.
name is Akash.
And I'm Naveen.
I'm Rishi.
I'm Mohit.
Good. So now that we've done this,
Like, I'm Rishi.
Do we need
Are
like
you
a
sure?
formal
Are you
introduction?
sure that
Like-
you're Rishi?
No, I wasn't sure if I need a formal introduction or we're just like throwing around
No,
like
so
just
everyone knows which
Okay,
voice
no,
is which
I'm
voice.
Akash.
I'm Naveen.
And I'm Rishi.
Oh, no, that isn't your damn name. But so did you guys knew each other? I when I was working out of, so when we were making this movie, we were working out of a gorgeous little antique bungalow in Khar near the station, which happens to be Rishi's bungalow. I did not
Yes,
know this till
yeah.
today. That is still your bungalow. How did you meet each other?
So Mohit and me have known each other since what now, 23, 24 years. We were in the same school and after that we were in the same college and we've been best friends for decades.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing was gaming was always at the center of everything. You know, every conversation used to be about playing these games and someday, you know, it becoming our alternate reality.
Yeah.
That was the thing we used to talk about since
No,
we
the
were
funny
kids.
thing is, gaming has always been a part of our lives, but we never thought of it as careers. Now, when we tell all our school friends, "Oh, we're into gaming," they're like, "हाँ, वो तो बचपन से बोलते थे." मुझे याद भी नहीं, हाँ, तभी भी बात
That's why
करते थे.
that happens, no? Sometimes, like, you realize from people from your past who are like, yeah, you were always meant to do this. And you're like, hey, why
Like,
didn't
हाँ,
you tell
क्या,
me?
मुझे
bro?
नहीं बोला.
Yeah, I mean, you never know it, but, you know, people see it around you and
Yeah.
that's what we've been, you know, doing and
हाँ, like,
randomly.
they're like, मुझे 10 साल लगा find out करते, तेको बचपन में पता था. That's nice,
Yeah,
yeah.
but when this started out, nobody in the world had any idea that this was going to be the way it's going to be.
Because
Like,
consider time waste, no? Like, basically.
not
if you-
just time waste, man. This is like, I mean, earlier though you would just, you know, having a LAN party itself was such a pain in the ass, dude. And playing, I think CS was the real first game that people started playing as clans and,
Yeah, yeah.
and playing in a community
Yeah,
community
that's how
way.
we
You know?
started.
You know who I
Right.
was? Like, I was always the guy because, like, our PlayStation stores, they had like one setup. No, PS खेलते after school.
हाँ.
So one guy has to pay $10 for the hour, and the other person, if they get one more person, pays ₹5 extra. So I was always the ₹5 extra guy because
Right.
they're like कि एक बंदा चाहिए control करने के लिए. I don't care about anything else. So but I played like back then, like because my friends were so into it. Counter Strike, then Downhill Domination was my favorite because you could kick people off their cycles.
I didn't know downhill.
Okay.
downhill.
Okay.
This is probably more
Are
specific
you
to the
sure you were
cyber
playing a
cafe.
video game or just kicking people off cycles on
That
the
was also a possibility. No, Downhill Domination is a game, you guys. I remember Band of Brothers was a big thing back then also.
That was a show, man.
No, it was a game also.
Was it Band of Brothers?
Band of Brothers is inspired by the game, the show. Yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we
Abhijit,
Google
Abhijit,
this
can you
fact?
Google this?
This sounds interesting.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, no?
Domination is a video game.
Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers.
Band of
That's
Brothers.
an HBO show.
Exactly. That's what
He
we
said
were
though,
talking
it's
about,
based
man.
on the
Anush,
game.
stay.
Anuj, stay here, man.
Catch
Very-
up.
Now the entire crew is looking for this fact. What is this? Band of Brothers? What?
American drama miniseries.
There's no game?
There's no game.
Just do Band of Brothers game.
What was this game
I
about,
don't know, dude,
by
you
the way?
seriously
Yeah.
What do you
What
remember?
were you
What
playing,
was
bro?
this game about?
See, there was a game, Brothers in Arms.
Brothers.
The Band of Brothers in arms. कुछ है कि नहीं?
मतलब Band of Boys बोले थे तुम लोग हाँ हाँ कर रहे हो.
फिर तो गान गाते थे.
मेरी नींद उड़
उड़
गई.
गए. अरे man.
कौवा उड़ गया.
So, you know, back then these cyber cafes were really looked down upon by everybody because
Yeah.
there would always be somebody smoking outside or something. And your parents would pass by and then they would be like,
Yes.
"You're going to that place where people are smoking and
Yeah.
watching porn in the cubicle in the back." And oh yeah, there was this one place near our house which had 2 levels and the upper level would be empty in the afternoon, so people would go and have sex also there.
Of course.
Of course, nahi. See, that's
I
the.
mean-
Is it really? Of course, though.
I mean, like, there's one joystick actually happy in that place.
But yeah, so
This is my contribution. I'm telling you, throughout this episode, this is what
yeah,
I'll
this
do.
is gonna
We
be.
will educate you on the space. Don't
Yes,
worry.
I think maybe you should educate us a little bit on the space. So since the 1990s, since Cyber Cafe days, it's come a long way.
Yes, a very long way.
The gaming has gotten more international. You don't even have to be in the same place as the other person to play anymore, thanks to internet. How does that affect something like esports?
So, firstly, let me start with what is esports. Esports is basically a competitive version of video games where there are teams or individuals that compete against each other in an organized tournament setting. So it's not just, ghar pe chal, I want to play a game of Counter-Strike against you. That's not esports. It's organized by, a company, a tournament organizer or the publisher. There are sponsors involved. It can be online or offline. So the online versions, as he rightly said, have really pushed a long way because of the advent of the internet. But the offline versions have been there. Yes, PUBG has been a huge aspect in that.
Right.
And the offline versions are still pretty big. In fact, that's what excites sponsors more.
Yeah.
Because you have stadiums selling out. You have, you have sponsors that come on board. Yeah, there's merchandise. There's, food and beverage. There's ticket sales. It's the entire experience as any traditional sports event.
Right.
And in fact, last year for the World Championship for League of Legends, there were about 40,000 people that were in the World Cup Stadium in South Korea, with 10,000 people waiting outside because they didn't get seating, and a total of 99 million people that watched it online.
99 million people?
99 million. So it was just shy of 1 million. I mean.
Just to... No, wait.
1 billion.
1 billion.
Of 100 million, yeah.
100 million. Sorry, billion is not 100 million, right? Billion is 8 zeros.
Oh, एक और लगता है
8 zeros.
हाँ.
Yeah, B or 8, एक जैसे दिखते हैं. That's how I remember it.
Nice.
But just to give you perspective, if you're listening at home, the India-New Zealand semi-final, the last over when Dhoni was getting out and stuff, that had 25 million people watching on Hotstar. So just to give you perspective, that's a quarter of the number of people watching the esports final.
Yes.
Which is huge.
The numbers are absolutely insane.
But and it's beautifully unorganized also in a sense because there's no countries involved at all. There's none of the bureaucracy or the red tape. It's all owned by the the label that makes the game. Okay, so Blizzard Entertainment, if they make World of Warcraft, then they preside over everything. But which can go both ways though, right? Like, isn't that scary also? Because
sure, in a way, because then they control the price. For example, the league prices to buy into the team. The first year they announced it in 2016, 2017 when it was still new. The base price to buy a team was $25 million. So you're looking at 180 crores just to enter the league.
Right.
Which for a brand new game that is just around, no one knows the future, is scary.
Right. What is the game? What is this game?
Overwatch.
For Overwatch. But Overwatch is hugely successful.
Oh, it's massive.
It's another Blizzard game, so they always
it's
get
won
it right.
esports of the year in 2016, 17 and 18.
What happens in that?
So Overwatch is kind of like the perfect fusion of Counter-Strike and Dota, where it's a first-person shooter, but you have heroes that you can select. Each of them have different abilities. It's a very fast-paced, competitive team game, 6 versus 6 players.
Nice.
Yeah,
So basically, like when you have a league, all these people come and play together on PCs, and they
like IPL, but for
that
that
But do you
sport.
like telecast on a big screen so everybody can see?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, the ecosystem is way larger than that. It's not just the players and the people watching it.
Oh fuck! This looks like a fucking Dragon Ball Z stadium or something.
So it's exactly how it is.
Beyblade, remember Beyblade? You fucking like.
That's the-
people are
thing
watching
is-
it.
It genuinely is.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is sometimes when you're speaking to these investors and you're talking about this world, I still remember there were 10 meetings that we went to and we were talking about this world and we were saying that, people are watching other people playing and there are like so many people and they couldn't imagine it. All they were doing was writing down numbers. And we were like, 1 second, we need to show these guys what it's all about. So we actually spent a lot of time compiling like a montage of video that would actually educate on what is esports. And that's the first thing that we play, when we go for these.
So on our YouTube channel, that's the video that we really push the most, called What is Esports.
Yeah. Oh, we should definitely link that in the podcast as well underneath.
Yeah, because that gives you an overview of all the different avenues of esports. Because what happened was, we were raising our first round of funding, and when we were talking to investors, they didn't understand what we were saying. Like when we said there are people filling out World Cup stadiums to watch video games, it just went over their head. They're like, "Acha, meko numbers batao. This is the ROI. This is
so much to process though for a normal person to imagine that all these people get together and watch a screen. But it's a movie. But it's being made as you watch it.
Yeah.
That's way more exciting than a
It's
movie.
real life. It's like a CID episode.
I mean,
But there's no daya to knock down doors.
And the funny thing is, these are the same
He's watching
people,
over us.
Excited, but I just want to point out that Rishi held CID above esports in entertainment value. And he just the way he dismissed it and went, "इसमें दया थोड़ी होता है यार."
No, but the day daya comes into esports,
फिर खलास
valuation triple.
हाँ, फिर खलास हो
All
गया.
breaking all back doors also of the internet.
But so, you were saying about
I was
the
saying,
video.
so the funny thing is, these are the same people who watch cricket and, they watch other people play cricket as well. But that is, acceptable. But when they say that, oh, these are these kids playing on computers and, oh, is it like a fantasy thing or is it like betting? And those are the conversations
a lot of investors
that,
are like, oh, Dream 11 jaise, fantasy sports are like, no, sports, khelte hai jaake. They actually use their hands, use their brain and play.
Which is Dream 11 is actually gambling. as opposed to esports,
Yeah.
which is
They
actually skill.
found a way around it. So
Dimag se, haan,
Found a
dimag
way
se
around a
khelo.
lot of things. I remember when I was
We should
young, we were chilling in Mangalore at my grandfather's house, and one uncle, like one of the visitors, came around, and I'm like, he's like, I know you. I'm like, wow, how? He's like, I've seen you come back from school in the evenings, and I'm like, pervert. But then he's like, I have a video game parlor near your school, and I'm like, what is this? I've never seen this. Like, because we used to go to PlayStation parlors around our school, but
Yeah.
like this was not one of those. Then I found out what it was. You know, one of those that noisy machines that they have, the slot machine sounds.
Yeah,
they would-
yeah,
they
it's
would
like a
have.
little gambling den.
Little gambling den that he called a video game parlor,
Yeah.
and they labeled it outside. I went in and saw it also.
They're always called video game parlors.
There's
outside.
always a
with a joker.
Yeah, Joker.
Right.
Yes,
There's those fucking yellow, blue, and
Yeah.
green lights, and there's always a velvet cloth outside. which
Yeah,
you have
and there's
to-
always like this one-way glass that tint that you put on the window,
Yes.
they put
Yeah.
on the doors there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, always.
So
oh yeah, I remember those.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's exactly the image that these guys create when we talk about
Exactly.
esports.
So
You
because
know,
for them,
it's-
like video game parlors are probably like those.
Like
seedy-
how, you know, I used to tell my parents I'm going to open mic. They used to imagine वो 80s वाला बार जहाँ पे briefcase में सब pills बेच रहे एक दूसरे को and stuff like that. So very similar outlooks. But this ecosystem is huge now.
Oh, it's absolutely massive. And in fact, I think there was a CNBC interview from a few years ago where all the reporters were on camera and they were making fun. They were like, they couldn't fathom the concept of people, like millions and millions of kids sitting and watching other people play video games.
Yeah.
So the argument was, "Tu khelo na, dekh rahe kyun ho?"
Yeah.
And then one of the people got up and said, no, but isn't that the same thing you do when you're watching sports? Like you have 1 billion people watching India in the
Yeah,
World Cup.
not
How
contributing
many of them
anything.
actually play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how many are like, nahi yaar, main jaake khelunga.
That's absolutely true. I think that's what's like, that's where people like Twitch and all come in, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know about Twitch, but
I know.
that is a whole different level now.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Twitch as a live streaming platform was very, very early on. They started off as Justin TV, which was just a place for vloggers and, you know, people to come up and showcase videos. And they realized the most popular videos there were gaming videos. Like people are spending more time watching video game videos than anything else. So they slowly rebranded and became a video game website.
Yeah.
And then in 2014, Amazon acquired them for $1 billion. And 2014 to get $1 billion acquisition on a company that's making no revenue showing video games.
Yeah.
Was, you know, they were really forward thinking, and YouTube actually lost the bid to Amazon.
Ah, okay.
YouTube wanted to acquire Twitch.
Yeah, and that would have been a weird amalgamation because they would have tried to sink it in only, I think.
Yeah,
Or capture the
their
entire
goal was to
market then.
absorb
Yeah.
it, which is what Twitch didn't want.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
it runs as an independent entity. And in fact, it's one of Amazon's most profitable ventures.
Yeah,
So-
and there's Twitch, and people pay to watch people play. You can do microtransactions within the app,
Yes.
and you can send people money for doing stuff. Like if they shout out your name, you can send them money and stuff.
And like I've got really good at explaining this because a number of people have explained this too.
Yes, please do.
The
Just
best
gonna get to
example
that.
would be if you could watch, say, your favorite cricketer, say like Kohli or Dhoni,
Haan.
net practice while he's training for the World Cup, and you can ask questions and say, "Ye wala shot kyun mara? How do you do this helicopter? Can you show me a quick tutorial?
Right.
Or can you tell me about why you're using this?" Or he'll say, "Dhoni bhaiya, aisa shot maro na, main 1000 rupees donate karta hu." And that's what people do on Twitch. Like, can you get this trick shot? If you kill this guy with a sniper from this range, we'll donate $100. And it happens every single day in like millions and millions of dollars.
Oh man!
It's intense.
So new career options.
Yeah, but I suck at video games in general. Like,
But that's okay. There's a
yeah.
market for that as well.
Nice.
Yeah, there's just
What is
people.
market?
So I don't know if you know about John Green, the guy who wrote Fault in Our Stars.
No,
You don't know the guy who wrote
I
Fault
know.
in Our
I don't
Stars?
want to know him.
Anyway, so he has these, him and his brother, they run this thing called the Vlog Brothers. It's a channel.
Yes,
And one
yes,
of the
I
things
know.
he does now, he used to play FIFA and he used to play this one team in FIFA, okay? And he would play, it's a club that basically, the club had moved away and the people who lived there said कि नहीं हम लोग अपना club इधर ही रखेंगे, and they made a new club and started from the bottom league.
Right.
So he started playing with that team and he used to play with that team, and it started generating so much revenue, him playing and talking over that FIFA, that he actually bought a stake in the actual real life team
Oh.
in England, and is now has a stand named after him in that team and all. So it's like it can have real world impact on stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are the stories, and there's so many of them. Like there's people like Ninja who became really famous in Fortnite. He makes an average of $500,000 a month playing this game 12 hours a day. Like he has brands like Red Bull giving him $3 million in sponsorship. He in fact played at the Times Square for the ball drop at New Year's Eve. He was playing Fortnite at Times Square in front of about 10,000 people.
But now, how you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I wouldn't watch Kohli playing cricket at midnight.
Sure, but there are enough people that wanted to come, so he wasn't essentially just playing, right? Now
And
he's an
Fortnite's a
entertainer.
team game-ish scene, no? I mean,
In a way,
it needs
it's-
other players to be playing at the same
Yeah,
time. So you're playing
So
online.
he connected online to the live servers. He didn't have to play with the people that were there.
Right.
And then he got off stage, was doing all the Fortnite dances. In essence, he becomes a content creator and an
floss.
entertainer.
Right.
Yeah, he did the
Yeah.
floss, which is now one of the most famous dance moves
Yeah.
in the world because of Fortnite.
Correct. And they have it in the game also now.
Yeah, they have it.
Oh wait, it came.
No, it
Yeah,
was-
it
it
was
was
the one
game.
that made it famous.
It was a guy who did it, and then
Yes.
the game took it up.
And the game made it famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
Naveen was so
I'm
happy.
not Google check everything. Okay. So no, my point is gone. Anyways, in the correcting part, I forgot what I was going to say.
That's a great place to take a break.
No, I was going to say
No, okay,
it came back to me. It came back to me. Unlike my exes.
It's funny because it's true.
It's true. I'm just like wondering that all the things our parents told us not to do as kids, like don't play video games,
all of them make money.
don't play poker, or don't back answer, and that's what we essentially do. Like we're
Yes,
comics, we back
comics, we back
answer,
answer.
and you all are playing video games and making money out of it. People are doing poker and winning
Yeah.
tournaments. It's a good time to be alive.
No, but it's so interesting also because I feel like, recently a friend of mine had come down and she was visiting the city for a couple of days. So we had a party and we were all sitting together at the party. And after the party, she's like, dude, none of your friends have normal jobs. And I realized, yeah, kind of. We constantly in these circles of people who are at the edge of or rather the fringe of, what you
Fringe,
would
yeah.
consider normal society.
Right.
But
Doing
I think
stuff.
that's the most beautiful thing about being a millennial or, anything after that now is because there's so many career options. Like no one had these options 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you don't need a traditional job. You can be a filmmaker, you can be a YouTuber, you can be a vlogger. It doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
you can be a social media influencer.
And I think those are careers that will have better chances of surviving in the coming days with automation, dude. Like, I mean,
Oh, 100%.
80% of humanity is going to lose its job. What are you going to
Yeah.
be, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
how
are
much?
you
How
gonna
many, how
be?
many demand drafts will you type, uncle?
Yeah, because nobody wants to watch a computer. Nobody
funny.
wants to watch a computer play Fortnite, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
ever.
the most
People want to
exciting
watch humans
thing.
play
Yeah.
Fortnite.
The most exciting thing about today's generation and world is one of the biggest cultural festivals, South by Southwest. The only 3 panels in 2019 that were packed, that had a waiting and like a line outside, were cryptocurrency, cannabis, and esports. Weed, money, and games.
Yeah.
The things that everyone would
place
dream
would
about
become a-
is now are the 3 largest markets in the world.
That's a very positive, feel-goody vibe. I
Yeah,
feel
it's just
in my
like कि
stomach.
हमें इतना तुमने fringe पे रख दिया. Now we're going to surround the fringe and move to
Break
the
the walls
center. It's
down,
like
right?
that scene from Game of Thrones, dude. We're like we're gonna corner you.
Okay.
Speaking, yeah, taking a break.
On that
yeah.
note, we can take a good break.
On that note, let's take a nice break.
Must.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I also kind of wanted to make a couple of other announcements, right? So first, as I think I mentioned last week, I just want to kind of reiterate, we're going to be closing our SoundCloud channel at the end of this month. So if this is where you're hearing us, please maybe try and listen to us on something else, maybe the IVM Podcast app, maybe another app. We're on all kinds of different platforms. The other thing is a little happier, right? So for the first time ever in Asia, we have a podcasting award for shows made in Asia. And we're very happy to announce that a number of our shows have been nominated. Pesa Vesa, Tech Careers in the New, Vartalab, and Junior One have all been nominated for these awards. Please go to the website asianpodcastawards.com and go vote for our shows. Come on, make us win, guys. And let me tell you what's going on this week. On The Scene and the Unseen, Amit is joined by China expert Manoj Kevalramani. They talk about the China-India relationship and conflicts that need to be resolved. On Vartalab, Akash and Naveen are joined by writer, director, and producer Raj Kaushal. Raj is an old friend of mine, and he talks to these guys about Jim Jam, biscuits, kiss me dogs, and cricket. Speaking of cricket on What a Player, Mikhail and Siddharth talk about the India-South Africa Test Series. They also discuss the Japanese Formula 1 and announce the What a Player of the Week and Not a Player of the Week, also known as the Wow Now. Let's talk about what's happening in the pop culture side of things. On the Geek Fruit podcast, hosts Dinkar and Tejas are joined by their friends Kunal Rao from the East India Company. Join them as they discuss their favorite sitcoms of all time. On Mr. and Mrs. Binge Watch, Janice and Anirudh continue the saga of Indian shows that they love. Tune into the second part where they discuss the TV shows Family Man and Ye Meri Family. On Football Shitball, hosts Gaurav, Karthik and Shiva talk about the biggest rivalry in English football and how it's become more of a walkover than a competition. On Paperback, Satyajit and Rachita are joined by Natasha Malpani Oswal, the host of another IVM show, Boundless. She discusses her love for writing along with the creative process she practices every day. On Keeping It Queer, Naveen and Farad are joined by our producer Madhuri Advani to understand asexuality and bust the myths surrounding this umbrella category. With that, let's get you onto your show.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So last night, my boyfriend and I were playing a game together, and we usually prefer playing horror.
Was this a sex game?
Yeah, I was about
Yes,
to ask,
it
like, video
was.
game?
But I actually do have a.
Or was it games with his heart? Were you?
That's done already. Quit play. Anyways, so this one guy I know gave me a deck of sex cards. I told you about that, the gay sex cards.
No,
Like,
you did not
It's,
tell
it's
me
like
this.
playing
I'm
normal.
going to Palati Wada for this.
Go
I
for
feel
it.
this is the kind of thing I need to cross my legs for. Yes.
Or you have to spread them. But so no, we were playing an actual phone game just called Granny.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but it's a very cheap knockoff of Slender Man.
Okay.
You know, Slender Man is like you have to
Right.
escape a room,
Right.
put the clues together, and Slender Man is always lurking around the corner. So it's a horror based game because the music and the element and everything is into it. Okay, but so and I like my instinct for horror is like I laugh. Okay, just like to subdue how shit scared I am
Yeah.
sometimes. And even though it is a low version game, it was fucking terrifying, dude. Like there were scenes like when I'm like she's coming, and he's the one controlling the game, so I'm just like behind him screaming at him at 2 a.m. And thankfully I have Muslim neighbors who don't care about people screaming at night. So
Wow.
it's true though, it's true. But
How? No, you can't just.
Okay, no, I'll abide by that. I've lived right next to a masjid like 16 years of my life. Like
Yeah.
when I had people staying over at 5 a.m. and the azan started, they would get up screaming and be like, "What's happening?" I'd be like,
No,
"Relax,
that is
go to
different.
sleep."
That is people reacting to people making noise.
no, mine is of the domestic style. Like there's been times where 3:45 in the morning the ladies come to ask us for a phone so she could call somebody, and it's crazy.
Yeah. No, that was a varta. That was very true.
I thought about intervening, but then the matriarch is the one causing all the problems. So it's a woman versus the woman issue, and the son is just the ploy in it.
Wow.
But that's-
You've done some research on this.
Wow, this
I-
is
Sounds
like
like
a
a
web
good
series
story,
right here.
dude.
I keep my ears to the wall.
Like,
बहुत कुछ किया तुमने.
I keep my ears to the wall and also my
Nothing
boyfriend.
like other people's suffering.
Yeah. Anyways, so if you
yeah.
want to check out, like just have random fun, watch Granny.
Play game.
Yeah, the horror game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Or watch me play Granny because I'll be howling for no reason.
I have only ever experienced one horror thing in my life,
What is
which
that?
was I watched Conjuring 2 in Hindi.
Oh,
That must have been terrifying.
Double horror.
And,
Horrifying.
dude, but so this is when I was in Baroda. I was working with Comedy Factory, and after that we were shooting a review of the movie that Manan does, and we were shooting in this very scary part of town also, and it was like a cold, it was dark, half the lights are not working. वो रात में ना मेरे को ऐसा 1 किलोमीटर चल के मेन रोड तक जाना पड़ा था, और मेरा जो फटा है, and I scream like I scream. I do that scream. I'm not a brave person when it comes to ghosts, man. I'm very scared. तो मेरा जो मैं पूरा रास्ता like, and there were like rats running around, and I was, you know what I mean? I was doing that, and there were people looking out from the window going, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
No, but horror makes for great content, right? Because
Yeah.
someone like PewDiePie, who's sitting at what 95 million subscribers,
Still less
the
than
first-
T-Series.
Yeah!
still less
Now.
than 3
Bharat Mata ki jai.
Yes, Jai Hind. But he started.
Your words.
Like I have to say it. I see flags over there. I'm not messing around. No, so his first 50 million subscribers were because he used to review and play horror games, and kids wanted to see his reaction, and that was entertaining for them.
Right.
Like that's how he started and became the world's second largest YouTuber now.
Yeah, but the PewDiePie, there was this one game that PewDiePie, this is my thing that happens a lot. I watch these walkthrough videos, and then I fall in love with the game, and then I look at the device I have, and I have a phone, and it gets really depressing beyond a point, because you don't know what to, you can't play most of the games you have. How do you keep up with that though? Isn't that the most, I think that is the biggest obstacle, because it's a very high, it's not like cricket, ki tum gali mein jaake khel lo.
Right, but that is actually where the gaming industry is changing. When you look at PUBG Mobile, it works almost the same on like a 7 or 8,000 rupee Micromax phone as it does on a 80,000 iPhone.
Yeah.
Sure, the graphics are better, but the essence of the game essentially stays the same.
Yeah.
And with the advent of Jio coming in, with making data so cheap, right now India has the cheapest data on earth.
Yeah.
Where it's practically free. Where a few years ago you were paying like 300, 400 rupees per GB.
That's true.
That's also helped things like Netflix
But
and
hardware
Hotstar.
का तो कोई सुझाव ही नहीं
no,
है.
so it's
Like
a
to
great
play
thing that you're
Fortnite or
saying.
something.
The thing, infrastructure wise, we are lacking behind right now. You go to any international city where there are, cyber cafes, or, you call it PC bungs. So we
In
made
South
a short
Korea, yeah.
trip to South Korea, where we actually have a training facility now. There you go to any building, okay, in any society, in any, place, in the smallest corner of, the city, you have probably more than, 20 PC bunks in one corner, and they are like more than 100 PCs totally decked up.
Right.
And the cost of 45 minutes is 50 rupees. So when you have access to that kind of, infrastructure, that's the thing where, gaming will go ahead, and that's the, kind of things we want to build.
Yeah, and this is actually where South Korea comes out on top in terms of esports and, athletes, is because the government very early on, the StarCraft days, they supported them and they said, if you're opening a PC cafe to promote esports and gaming, we'll give you huge tax subsidies and we'll give you commercial electricity for like dirt cheap. And so many of them propped out. It's like as many tapris as you have in Bombay, you have that many PC cafes with like 100 PCs in South Korea. And these are all top of the line PCs which are open 24 hours, are equipped with a full-fledged cafe and bar, and there are showers and sleeping area. So essentially people can go there and never leave.
So the best thing
I don't know how I feel about that setting.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I get it like in a comedy club setting where, there's a bed and because you're coming and but if to encourage someone to live in a cyber cafe sounds scary almost. Not in the sense like, I mean, I get it, like, if say National Sports Academy has bunk beds, it makes sense. This is a similar idea,
right?
But it's just, I guess it's conditioning, right? Then that's the biggest thing you're
fighting.
fighting.
Yeah, it is, which is why I think South Korea has so many early adopters, where by 12, 13 years old, there are people that are competing in very high-end tournaments. In fact, our Fortnite players are 14 and 16 years old. They broke the Fortnite world record.
Yeah.
They're like that young.
One question, and this sounds stupid.
Yeah, sure.
आँख नहीं बिगड़ जाता है बच्चे लोग का इतना स्क्रीन देख के?
So, surprisingly, our professional athletes don't spend as much time in front of the screen as a regular gamer because it's very sought out. So it's strategically planned. They spend enough time on feedback, on strategy, and enough activity away from the screen. And of course, like their diet and their physical activity is also really important. So we take better care of our athletes than a kid just sitting at home playing video games on his couch.
It's like that IOI from Ready Player One. Ready Player One has like an entire team where they have to look for the Easter egg. So they have like all these people trained. I'm talking about the book because the movie is shit.
Right.
So and there's more detail about how they operate in the books in general. And also our main hero in the book has to get in shape to become like worthy of competing against them. He was fat in the beginning.
That sounds
but Ty Sheridan was in shape all throughout the movie. What the fuck is up with that? Ernest Line. But did you? And Steven Spielberg. But I remember like when I was in Goa for my show and I was staying at a hostel for like 5 days, and there were these two boys who had come from somewhere to Goa to be in Goa. But both of them were on their phones playing PUBG 24/7. Like, and I'm an obscure sleeper. I sleep at 3 in the night or like 5 in the morning. Like, I don't have any justification for timing that I sleep in. But every time I stepped out in the main courtyard area, these boys were always on the phone. And I'm like, you're in Goa, dude. Like, step outside your phone and see the beaches for a second. Like, it's crazy. And like I've seen like my best friend Harshika, her brother also recently. I was in Pune doing my Pune show. And again, I was there for the entire week and I was unwell, so I slept most of the time. This guy was playing what is that thing which he has like a son running around with him. And God of War, yeah. There's a talking head in the middle. Yeah. And I would just every five hours just like come outside, see what he's doing because I had nobody else to talk to. And this guy was on this video game, dude, all the fucking time. I feel like an old person, but I'm also like concerned about these kids.
No, sure. So what you're talking about is battling addiction, like addiction to anything. If there's someone who's sitting out, like playing 12 to 18 hours a day gully cricket, that's addiction. That's bad. That's not helping anyone, right?
Like, I'm someone who watched RuPaul's Drag Race in 5 seasons in one night, so I shouldn't be the one to say this. But I just worry about people.
How long are the episodes?
It's 1 hour. There's 13, 14 episodes in one season. 1 hour each.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever binging on anything. I always fall asleep after the second episode.
No.
Yeah.
We binged something together, remember, recently?
What?
Then you fell asleep, I forgot.
Exactly. I am not...
Even Game of Thrones, we were watching Game of Thrones together and the episode was so boring. Both of us like dozed off in the middle.
Wait, was it season 8 or...
Season 8.
Oh, okay, yeah, then
sad.
it's...
Because
any other season, I'd be like, why?
Yeah.
All I thought read the book, so I was so confused throughout. So
ये तो मार गया था, ये वापस कैसा है?
ये mounting confusion. इसका back story बदल दिया, इसका looks बदल दिया, कोई blonde का काला कर दिया बाल, ऐसा सब बहुत हुआ है लोग का. पर ठीक है, वो तो करना पड़ता है. तुम लोग को क्या करते? तो what is this? I don't know how do I put this? So do you play for fun anymore? Is it like a thing, like do you see this with your players? Like I don't watch comedy anymore, because it's not as fun to me to watch stand-up anymore. Like at least specials, I'll watch it live. But.
Right.
So they do play a lot of, so we do as well. Probably not the game that they are pro athletes in. Like one of our pro CS players would not play CS in his off time, in his break time. He would play probably PUBG or Dota or something else that's, a different game or a different genre, maybe like a Need for Speed. Something that's going to distract him from, the game that he plays.
Right.
It's like if Virat Kohli wants to take a break, he's not going to play cricket in his free time. He'll probably play like tennis or squash or whatever other sport that he enjoys.
One more reason I don't play video games, because I know somebody will make a movie about it sooner or later, and they'll get the gist of what they're going for. Like Lara Croft, who cares? 2 movies on it, 3 movies now.
I तो never liked Lara Croft wala games also. Tomb Raider was not fun because I don't like games with puzzles. I don't puzzle me. Don't question. I don't want to test my
Life has
intelligence.
enough puzzles.
Give me what do I shoot? I want to shoot
Just kill
something.
something,
Like
yeah.
Gears of War was great for that. Cause you can cut them up and you can blow, you can put a grenade on them and run away. It's so much fun. Creative. And I think, that's one thing, in the 90s there was this whole conversation going on around about how gaming makes people violent.
Yeah.
Which I think that
It's still going on today, by the way. It's not like it's over or anything.
But this is, I feel it's so stupid to say that games are the ones that make somebody violent
No,
because,
100%, yeah.
and
when religion does that.
I mean, arguably.
In politics, does that.
I think it would do the inverse because, at the end of the day, you have a rough day, you come, you kill some people, it's all good, you're refreshed,
Yeah.
restart.
Yeah.
It's like the purge, right?
Yeah, but you do it in game,
I'm
not
like,
in real life.
either allow purge or take away video games.
Yeah. And I feel like it's one of those things where just because the person who got caught doing the thing gives a reason like that. Like if, you shoot someone and then say, मेरे को PUBG ने सिखाया. तो PUBG का गलती कैसे हो सकता है ना? चूतिया बच्चा है ना, उसको मारो ना. Like similar, because we were recording earlier for the Raj wala episode where this similar thing came
Kabir
up.
Singh.
Yeah, the kid pushes his girlfriend out of the window and then says Kabir Singh में चलता है तो इधर क्यों नहीं चलता है? I don't think Kabir Singh is to blame for that. I think the kid is to blame.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's 100% true because I remember a few days ago we were seeing an article that came out about a 15-year-old kid that stabbed his brother who stopped him from playing PUBG. And on the exact same day, the international news was talking about how this 11-year-old kid streamed Fortnite for like 100 hours straight and raised money for his father's cancer treatment.
Right.
And I was amazed because here there's a story in India about this kid stabbing his brother. And over there, outside of India, there's a kid who's raising money for his father's cancer treatment. Like, both of them are playing a very similar game.
Yeah, they both exist in the
conceptually
same world,
game.
yeah.
And so it's really people, not the industry, the ecosystem of the game.
Where do you see this going to? How much, India doesn't have that culture of going out and watching live yet, right? I don't think that's happening here
No,
yet.
so that is actually happening quite often. Recently, there was a
NSCI
tournament,
mein hua tha?
ESL,
Yes.
ESL
Hua tha
1,
na? Haan.
which all the top Dota teams in the world that came down to NSCI Dome, and there are regular tournaments happening, throughout the country. In fact, just last weekend at Phoenix Market City, there was a ESL tournament that happened where all our teams competed as well. So it was CS and Dota primarily, and then some PUBG on the side.
And I remember Abhish Mathew was hosting an entire
Yes,
PUBG
that was
event
last year.
That was
Last year's
last year.
ESL.
in Delhi.
Yeah.
So
Massive.
I would say it's going to take a while before it actually kicks in full gear here. India is, it faces one of those things where people look down upon gaming. They don't, see it in the right way.
Cultural acceptance.
What we are trying to do, with the content and with our teams, we're trying to show gaming in the right light. And just kind of show this world of these people who've left everything to just play video games.
And the skill it requires. Like, I lose my shit when my character dies and I have to go and reboot again and do the whole thing
Oh,
again.
you are so bad at video games.
I am very bad. Like,
I tried to teach him Ashes cricket. It's not Test cricket है कुछ जादू
हाँ,
नहीं करने गए. Field
button
placement भी
दबाओ,
change
bat
नहीं हो
घुमाओ.
रहा है. Easy पे है.
अरे बॉल कभी आ रहा है बैट कभी घुमाना मुझे समझ में नहीं आता.
वो जब फेंकता है तभी आएगा ना.
रियल लाइफ में कर लूंगा मैं.
That's what you said for years.
I did, yeah. The moral of the story is I suck.
No, it's not necessary. I think, but I feel like gaming has kind of made its way into my life and stayed there in different ways because, especially with the cricket games and stuff, I think, and just even with cell phones, idle clickers and stuff like that, or like city planning games, those are really helpful because when I'm thinking of things conceptually, I need something to do with my hands, something to kind of create a white noise around me while I'm thinking about something, So in that sense, it's kind of always stayed with me.
One game I was good at, GTA. Because I would
that
drive over motherfuckers like it's no tomorrow. Like,
That's not
punch
the
a woman.
objective. That's why you were good at that game because there's no objective.
Wait, do you drive in Bombay?
Not in real life.
In real life, he doesn't drive.
That's what
that
it is.
I
was
drive
an
people
important
nuts.
question.
Am I right? No, I'm not.
So we thought, earlier, like you were saying, that we would also, end up playing more because now we have a gaming company. But honestly, that's the thing that we...
I think, so we have
end
the
up doing
standing joke
least
amongst
right now.
all esports companies, organization founders, is that we started and got into the gaming industry because of how much we love playing video games.
Yeah.
And that's probably the thing we do the least now.
Yeah.
But we're enabling other people, we're getting it structured, and, as esports, it's not just playing Candy Crush, right? It's an organized place where we have teams, there are coaches that train these teams, there are strategies strategies, there's competitor analysis. Then, they need to keep their physical health in check. They need to keep everything in check. Go for these tournaments, compete. And again, it's a salary job. They're incentivized by prize. It's a job. They're doing this full time and they're getting paid to do this. So they better do it well.
But shots fired against Candy Crush, by the way. If Candy Crush fans in the
No,
audience-
I would never do that. His brother is actually the lead developer for Candy Crush too in Germany.
Developed
So
now, though.
Yeah, I mean,
The new one. The new
Arey,
one.
so that the candies look more colorful and
Yeah.
then they do that other thing.
and they
then
have some more features coming out,
And
which I can't.
lots
course,
of
I'll tell you
in-game
guys after
purchases.
this.
Lots of in-game
sure.
purchases.
Yeah.
Of course, in-game purchases पे तो दुनिया चलता है. इसलिए मैं
But-
कभी Clash of Clans नहीं खेला. मेरे को समझ में
दुनिया
आता
का
है.
पता नहीं, इसका घर चलता है.
But guys, Ludo is the new Candy Crush, by the way. If you have
Yeah, I
Ludo
saw
is
Watchman
a-
playing it on my
yeah,
way
people
here.
have stopped doing satta and like they used to play like obviously
But you can
cards.
gamble on Ludo, na?
That's true.
That's why
that's-
people play Ludo. I'm
You
not
can
messing
gam-
around
can
with you guys.
Gamble on anything, like you're
People
like,
gamble. People on the side of the street playing Ludo are 9 out of 10 times in my experience gambling. I know this because I always go and check and ask. I always
I mean,
make it
people
a
can
point.
gamble on anything. You have
That's not
cockfights
the
every
point.
you
day.
know, Akash ask kitna lagana hai.
Yeah, I've never gambled in my life. The biggest gamble I do is the jokes I do. That's a big gamble. Some of the jokes I do, oh man, you should.
For me, it's anal sex. Never know which time is the last.
It's like Russian roulette but with cocks.
Yeah,
Coming back to cockfighting.
the oldest video game tournament. Anyways,
Anyway,
we should wind this up.
we should wind this up. I think we can, considering that we are way past time.
Is there
Okay, anything else you guys want to cover as such?
So I think most importantly right now, the esports and the gaming market is very niche. It is probably one of the newest industries, but the fastest growing industry. In terms of revenue, it's already surpassed movies and music as of 2018. So it is definitely not mainstream yet, but without being mainstream, it is bigger than most other industries that have been there for decades.
Yeah.
So
That's-
we don't
that's
know
like
where it's
the
going,
Modi wave
but
this
it's
year.
big.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like you didn't see it happening, but it was there.
even Modi was
Definitely-
surprised. He's like, "Arey,
हाँ
चलो,
इतना
क्या बात
सीट
कर
किधर
रहे
से
हैं?"
आ गया हाँ
So,
Wait,
yeah,
I'll
so-
just lead into that question first. I'll just lead into that one. How should I frame the question now? It's like Jeopardy.
So, like, do you see esports going somewhere from what it is right now?
I mean, definitely it has come, way forward than what it was back then. I don't know if we mentioned earlier, but, we used to be professional gamers as well. And that was also an alternate universe that we were part of. And that time the tournaments were, 500 rupees and 1,000,
I
rupees.
organized some of those as a school kid.
And we
Oh,
used
yeah,
to
so
play
we
on
probably
these,
took your money.
played on these CRT screens, and that was like a LAN tournament, and that was pretty much it with like 20 people. And now cut to today where you have a tournament which is Fortnite tournament which is $40 million and hosted in Madison Square Garden in New York. So definitely it's gone way beyond what we thought, but we think now it's only on the rise. There's so many things in the gaming world that people don't know about, and we want to hopefully show them in the right way so that they do accept gaming as a career option.
Yeah.
And many other options are open to you as coaching and training other people. Gaming certainly has opened these, a variety of jobs for people which you couldn't do earlier.
Yeah, and like the way we also have structured it, it's not just kids playing video games, right? It's a lot more than that. We're teaching them soft and hard skills like video editing, video production, social media management. They're learning how to become independent influencers and social media stars because people are there are
Personality is
enough
a big
people.
part of it. Like, why
Oh,
would you watch
100%.
somebody talk for 2 hours if they're not personality-wise?
100%. The personality is what really shines,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just their medium is gaming.
Yeah.
It's
And
at the end of the day, it's all
There
about
are
the
so
people.
many filmmakers who we meet and, they don't have the right budgets to shoot the films they want to do, shoot outside. But there are in-game facilities, there are in-game cameras that you can, make your movie pretty much in-game. And that's great content, which, people are putting out there.
Yep.
Smart.
Making a movie with the rendering engine of the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, we've done. In fact, just yesterday we got a Facebook memory that popped up
Last
of
year.
a movie that we made last year, Fortnite movie that we made, and like music, everything. It was like a proper music
and the
video.
best part about making this movie is that you have to go and play all those, sequences and get those shots while playing and then just go back and record them in whatever angle you want.
Nice.
And that's...
Go
that's-
back and record them in whatever
Yeah.
angle. That's just such a...
It's a
Yeah,
podcast idea
because
on
like
its own.
it's all digital, right? So you have your save files, you have your replay files. You can go back and watch it. You can see the shots, cut the shots accordingly. So
all
we
the
played for
lenses
12
that you
hours
can
straight.
imagine, put those lenses, you're a filmmaker, use your imagination. You have an air drone which you can move around, take the sun, you can slow down time, do whatever you want. Take whichever shot, put it in the edit, and boom, that's it.
Yeah, because we like played for 12 hours straight and then edited for 12 hours, and 24 hours later we had a movie.
So while you digest that fact, While you digest the fact that there are people making movies inside of games and that games have become sports that people go to watch at stadiums, while you
For millions
digest
of dollars.
while you digest the fact that despite all of that, the sound recording thing still goes off and the AC still leaks. We live in a world of dualities.
Exactly.
Now let the music, before the music fades out, where can they find you on the internet?
globalesports.com, and our social media is Global Esports In.
That's them. That's all over the place. Naveen is House of Norona. I am
Yes.
Akash Mehta. Now listen to the soothing sounds of our outro while you balance this confusing world in your mind.
Also, kids, don't do drugs. Don't go to school either. Just like play video games and then do drugs. Because you have money now.
And cryptocurrency.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is me, Eva Bhatt, your host for the podcast 9XM Soundcast. This podcast is produced by India's largest music network, 9X Media. We have been catering music and you have been enjoying. And now we bring you a podcast where music inspires. Every week, I interact with some of the best minds from the music industry to understand their creative discipline. Every new episode will feature artists who will share inspiring notes from their journey, some valuable tips for budding artists. So do subscribe to the podcast where music inspires. Enjoy a brand new episode of 9XM Soundcast every Tuesday on IVM Podcast app or website or wherever you get your podcast from.
This is the amazing story of something awesome. Once Chuck decided to start a podcast, and so he did. The end. Okay, that was a crappy story. But I've got some really cool stories over at my new show, The Origin of Things. On this podcast, I look at the stories of how brands came into being and sometimes evolved out of quite unexpected circumstances. And to make it really fun, I reveal the name of the brand and sometimes a category only at the very end. The show is 5 to 7 minutes per episode and perfect for trivia junkies and brand nerds, especially those with short attention spans. New episodes out every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app or website or any podcast app or site that you happen to prefer. End of story, they lived happily ever after.